Welcome to the Ambitious Introvert podcast, created especially for introverts, empaths, and highly sensitive entrepreneurs to help you build, grow, and scale a successful, sustainable business. I'm your host, Emma-Louise Parks, business and mindset coach for ambitious introverts. After 17 years working as an air traffic controller, the ultimate fast-paced, high-stimulus, extrovert-friendly role, my mission now is to show introverts that they too can create big results and success because of who they are, not in spite of it. I focus on introvert-friendly business and marketing strategy to help you switch overwhelm for clarity, confidence, and clients. Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ambitious Introvert podcast with me, Emma-Louise, and today's guest is another epitome of an ambitious introvert who does work that is also so vital for us and our personal and business development. And I'm going to hand you over to her and let her introduce herself. Sandy.
Hey everyone, thank you so much, Emma. My name's Sandy Forster and I'm from Australia, beautiful part of the planet, Queensland, Australia. We're just coming into summer now. And I love doing podcasts. I love working from home. I love everything to do with the internet. And it's because I am the biggest introvert around. Like, I'm amazed at how many people call themselves an introvert. No, I'm such an introvert, but it's like they don't even know what an introvert is compared to me. Like I am just so in love with being in my own space. I get so much energy from being in my own space, you know. And yes, I do talk from stage. Haven't done it for all this year because of obvious reasons. But you know, when I talk from stage, I love talking from stage, but as soon as it's over, I just collapse in a heap and I can't talk to anyone for about 3 days. I'm just wiped out. So for me, I guess discovering the online space just really changed everything, because I used to have a business where I designed and manufactured swim and gym wear. And I had a store that I would open every summer and I'd sell all my gear. And I didn't like working in the shop at all. So I didn't even work in the shop. I hired someone else to do that because that whole interaction with everyone was too much. And so that business went nowhere fast. And I ended up $100,000 in debt and on welfare. And I really had no idea what I could do. I was completely lost. And then I discovered the personal development industry. And again, I thought, well, there's no way I'm getting into that industry because A, you either have to write a book, and there's no way I could write a book, or B, you had to speak from the stage, and there's no way I was going to speak from the stage. But as it turned out, I just fell in love with personal development, and I trained to become a coach. And I loved the fact that I could sit at home in my own space, feeling safe, and I could just connect with people from anywhere around the world through the phone or through the internet. And that's been just such a blessing because, you know, I know COVID hit earlier this year, and honestly, my life didn't change. Like, I am such an introvert. I think I'm borderline hermit because I just didn't, you know, I don't go out anywhere. I love being at home. I mean, I've got a beautiful space. I've got 2 acres and a spring-fed dam and a beautiful tropical pool, and I have kangaroos graze on my grass out the back, and it is pretty gorgeous, so I don't really need to leave. People say to me, oh, you've got your own private oasis or your own private resort, and that's pretty much what it's like. But I have that, and I've put my money into that, and I've secured this beautiful space because I do love space. I do love, you know, being in my own space. But having a business that allows me to be at home, yet interact with the world and connect with the world and change lives all around the world, it's mind-blowing. I think I literally sometimes feel like I've died and gone to heaven. You know, everything is just lined up so beautifully for me. I feel very, very blessed.
I love that as well, because I think as introverts, when we do achieve a level of success, we want to create a home and a space. Like you say, like I know some extroverts that are hugely successful, but they'll live in a tiny apartment in a city because they're always out and about. They're getting their energy out and about. Whereas we're like, let's create this oasis at home so I don't need to go anywhere and I can recharge.
Exactly. That's definitely me. Yeah.
And I love what you said about speaking on stage as well, because that's a myth that I come across a lot with my audience is, introverts are shy, introverts are not good public speakers, blah, blah, blah. And actually, it's nothing to do with that. Like you say, it's balancing the energy. Like, yes, you can do it and enjoy it. But yeah, afterwards, you're not going to talk to anyone for 3 days, and that's fine.
Yeah. I make actually rules when I'm speaking from the stage, and my assistant lets everyone know, don't interrupt Sandy at the lunch breaks or the morning or afternoon tea breaks, because she's got to think about what she has to talk about next. But really, it's more that if people start bombarding me with questions and start talking to me in those breaks, I don't get any recharging time, and then I'm a complete mess. It really is about having those boundaries and knowing what suits you and what level of introvert you are and how much time you do need to defrag and re-energize and, get your mojo back.
And that's important as well, because I think a lot of people feel like, I don't want to let people down, or I don't want to seem like I'm a diva and all this. And it's like, no, you're protecting your energy. You have your boundaries, because otherwise you're not going to be able to go and do what you're there to do to the best of your ability.
Exactly.
I went to an event in London earlier this year, and there were about 20 people there, and they had a breakout room with a buffet, and they had a morning break and an afternoon break, and most of the people went out, and 3 of us just stayed in the room, like reading our book or on our phone, and someone was like, here's the introverts then. And it's not to do with being unsociable. We were just, we're taking in a lot of information, and we were just internalizing it and processing it, whereas everyone else wanted to go and chat it out.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the same. I often have to, tell people it's not a personal thing. I'm not trying to be antisocial. If I go to a seminar, I will always, at every break, I will just go straight to my room. I just need that space. I need that time. I need that. My brain just needs to be able to just chill out, not think about anything. And again, it's just boundaries, just letting people know, because the great thing is, though, and the thing that I truly love is the fact that the internet has allowed people like me, because if I had to start my coaching business and I had to go and network and talk to people about my business, it would never have got off the ground. I would never have become a coach. I would never have become a trainer. I would never have written a book. I would never have started my I've got a coach training and certification program that I do. I would never have done all the things that I now offer the world if I had to go out and actually speak to people in person. So I think introverts can rule now, because, the internet has really, really helped us to connect with people in a way that previously was just unheard of.
And obviously you went on this personal development journey and really fell in love with it. And what's interesting from your language there is, you've done all these things now, you have all these achievements. And when you were discussing it 5 minutes ago, you said previously you were in a space where you were like, I can't write a book. I can't speak on stages.
Yes, I know. And see, this is the thing, because the thing is, I'm not only introvert. I used to be, I'm still a little bit, but not as bad. I used to be really shy as well. So the two together, the thought of having to actually speak in front of people. I remember I had my swim and gym wear business. At one stage, because I had a business, I was asked to go and speak at a women's event. There was going to be about 50 women there. They asked me to speak. And I had to say no. It's like, no, there was just no way I was going to go up in front of people and speak. If I went to a business event where you learned something, and part of the deal was at the start, everyone had to stand up and say their name and what the name of their business, I would be shaking in my boots. I would, my body would shake and shake. My heart would be palpitating. It would be just too much. And so I look at how far I've come, and it's like, how did that happen? I think it was just incrementally. I think just little things happened that allowed me to see I was safe to speak up. I was safe to have a voice, and because I could still retreat. I could still, go into my own space, go into my cave, and I would be okay. And I think little by little, things started to happen. And as you say, I wrote my book. And honestly, the book has been the best thing for my business, because I consider my book to be like a big business card. So I don't have to go out in the world and network with people, and I don't necessarily have to do lots of interviews and do lots of things, because my book is constantly just out there. People are reading it. They're coming back to my website. They're seeing what I offer. They love that. They'll buy this thing. They'll join that program. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just behind the scenes, and, I'll do live calls now and again to support the people that purchase things through me. But really, my book is the thing that's out there really spreading the message for me. So anyone that's even thinking of writing a book, do it. And the thing is, I didn't sit down and write the book as such. I actually started teaching teleseminars before there was even webinars, before you could even see anyone. It was just purely over the phone. And I started teaching a 4-week class, and I just had bullet points for each week. And I started teaching around money and mindset. And the 4-week class ended up being a 6-week class and an 8-week class and a 10-week class and a 12-week class. And then I thought, oh my gosh, there's so much information. I need to take that and put it into something, because the bigger the teleseminar class got, week after week after week, the higher the price got. And I thought I need to put it all in one little package and just offer it as a book, which is exactly what I did. And so, just taking all that information and then getting an editor to make it all beautiful, it was so much easier than sitting down and thinking, okay, I'm going to write a book, because that would have been impossible.
And that's what I would love the listeners to take from this, actually, from the two things that you've said there. The first is that you're in this place of, I can't do this, I can't do this. And now you're extremely successful and you're doing it, but you didn't just jump there. Like you say, it was small incremental changes. It was pushing yourself little by little and consistently, which is what I tell my clients to do when it comes to visibility. Like, I'm not asking you to suddenly host a 2-hour webinar, but I may be asking you to show up like once a week on your social media on video, and then we build and build on it. And it's the same with your book. Like you say, if you say to most people, write a book, that's just overwhelming straight away. But this book evolved out of these small bullet points. It was, again, it was just consistency and going on. And I think that's so suited to us introverts, to really build something from a solid foundation rather than, hey, I'm taking on a huge project.
Exactly. And taking on a huge project and thinking you'll build this huge business, again, that's another real block for an introvert, because one of the things I felt like was I didn't want to be successful and have lots of people know me and not be able to leave the house without, getting out of my gym gear and having to brush my hair and get myself all prepared. It's like I didn't want to leave the house and have anyone know me and want to talk to me, because even when I'm out and about, I like to be in my own space. So that was a block. And when I realized that I could build this business, and people in my area didn't even need to know about it, because it was an internet business and I was working with people who were in the US who I would never even see, most of them. So it's like, it just was so liberating and freeing to know that, I could just be me, be little old introverted me, and not have to worry about being seen and being, mobbed or talked to or anything like that. I could just be me, be at home, be in my space.
Friend of mine who's super successful, she's got a sweatshirt and it says famous on the internet. And it's so true, because the majority of people could walk past her in the centre of London and they wouldn't have a clue who she was. But if you know, you know.
Yes, yeah, very cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's the same
I'll
thing.
Have to Google it, see if I can get one.
Yes, if you can find one. And then think about, success doesn't equate fame. You don't have to be, like you say, in the old days, you'd have been in maybe national magazines or publications or on TV, and now you don't need to do that. Of course you can, but it's not required to get to a level of success.
Exactly. I always used to say to my kids, there's this whole thing about being rich and famous. Like I want to be rich, but there's no way I want to be famous. And so I feel really lucky that, yes, I am well known, but it really is just in the personal development field. It's not like anyone anywhere else has any clue who I am. And so I can walk around in my own, space, in my own area where I live, go to the shops. No one knows me from a bar of soap. I'm just no one, which I love. And so, the idea of being rich and famous, I'm rich, but I'm not necessarily famous, which I love. So that to me definitely suits me. And I used to think the two had to go together, but they don't.
I really hope you are loving this episode. I hope you are getting so much value from it that you can apply to your life and your business. And if you are, imagine what it would be like to work with me one-on-one. Over the last 14 years, I have spent thousands of hours coaching over 100 individuals, and there is nothing that I would love more than for you to be the next one. Yes, I get client results like people hitting 6 figures in their business, 6-figure launches, group programs, leaving their 9 to 5, and that's great. But the results that I'm most proud of are actually the transformation and personal growth that they achieved during our 6 months together, which is priceless. If you are ready to turn your ambition into true success, then head to the show notes, fill out the application form, and let's get on a call and see how we can skyrocket your life and your business together. I love that. So I was quite far into my personal development journey before I really knew about introversion and extroversion. So I was kind of maybe mid-30s before I even really heard the terms and looked into it. And I understandably identified straight away with being an introvert, but, took the Myers-Briggs test and everything made sense. And looking back, I could connect the dots about, my preferences and how I'd been even as a teenager and a child. At what point did you realize you were an introvert? I'm going to say in air commas.
It wasn't actually until my 40s. So I always knew that I was shy. And I remember starting high school and a new girl started, and somehow we got talking and she said to me, I love meeting people. And I remember in my mind thinking, I can't think anything worse, meeting new people. Like, to me, that was an idea of total stress. And so I just thought it was shyness. And it really wasn't until my 40s where the same thing, I started hearing about introvert and extrovert. And it was like, okay. And then when I found out introvert was really not necessarily about being shy, but about someone who gains their energy from being by themselves, that I thought, that is so me. Like, that is definitely me. So yeah, it wasn't until quite late in life where I realized that I was an introvert.
And I see this a lot actually with my audience. People will reach out and they'll be, my age, like late 30s, early 40s, and they go, I've only realized in the last 2 or 3 years that's what it is. And it's almost that permission to I'm not weird, because I don't want to go out and socialize every night.
I know. And the thing is, people who are extroverts don't get it. So my daughter is a social butterfly, extrovert, loves and she thinks that she definitely thinks I'm weird. Like, she totally thinks that I'm just weird and, I just want to be by myself all the time and there's something wrong with that. And she's in her 30s, but she doesn't get that I love being by myself. Like, her brain can't quite compute how that works, how that happens. So, yeah, people that are extroverts find it really difficult. They think there's something not quite right with us, that we want to be by ourselves. But I look at people who are going out all the time and who are always with people, and I feel like just the thought of that makes me feel drained. Like, I just feel like, I couldn't stand it.
I feel like that. I feel like people discuss an event or something that's happening, and for a second I think, oh, that sounds interesting, and then I have this vision of this big room full of people and artificial lights, and I go, no, that's not for me.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? And I think of all the things that I've probably bypassed simply because it involved having to socialize. But, every now and again I'll do things that fit within my comfort zone where I am actually out amongst people, but we don't necessarily all have to talk. So it might be a meditation event or a crystal singing bowl event or something where I can go and be part of it, but not actually have to, talk to people that I don't know about stuff that doesn't really matter.
I'm a bit like that with yoga. I love to go to a yoga class, and I think it's because I don't speak to anyone, but you've got the collective energy of the group.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know just what you mean.
And I think it's the same with running our online businesses, because obviously there's no one set way to do it. There are so many different variants, and some more extroverted gurus are saying to people, go into people's DMs, cold DM them and strike up a conversation. For most of us, that's, like you say, just exhausted thinking about it. And what I really want to do is give people permission to go, well, no, you're an introvert. Don't do that. If it doesn't feel good to you, it's not going to feel good to the person on the other end.
Yeah, and that's the great thing, I think, these days about all the different variables when it comes to building a business, is that there are so many things you can do, so many choices, and rather than get overwhelmed with all of that, choose the things that feel good to you. So if you want to do social media, because I literally ignored social media for so long. I wasn't even going to get online because I was like, why would I want to get on social media when I am pretty antisocial? Like, there's no point. And so I ignored it for a very long time. And I think it was towards, I can't even remember now, but it wasn't that long ago that I decided, okay, maybe I should get on social media for business purposes. But, literally, I think it's amazing that we have this choice, that we can choose to do the things that we want to do, and we can not do the things we don't want to do. And one thing I do love to do, which is funny for someone who is an introvert, I love podcasts. That's probably one of the things I love to do the most, because I get to connect with someone else, and eventually it'll go out to lots and lots of people. But in the moment, I don't feel drained. I don't feel like my energy is being sort of taken, because I'm only connecting with one person. And so I love podcasts. It's one of my most favorite things to do.
And that is exactly why I designed mine in this way. I'm like, I want it to be around 30 minutes. I want people on that are either ambitious introverts, or they're going to inspire my audience of ambitious introverts. And I get to have a really great, deep one-on-one conversation with someone that's interesting, that we've got something in common, and then everyone else gets to listen to it. And I'm the same. I can actually record 4 in a day, and I'm not drained, because while I'm doing it, I've got this focus and I'm having this connection. Whereas if I was out speaking to a group or doing a webinar, I'd feel a lot more fragmented.
Yeah. And that's what it is, isn't it? It's that fragmented energy. You feel like you start to feel like, everything's not sort of firing nicely. It's not flowing. But when you're doing something you really enjoy, and you're just doing that one-on-one, there's a different flow. It's a nice, beautiful, easy, calm energy.
I think what's really empowering about you and your message is, yes, I'm an introvert. Yes, I'm shy, but that's not a box that I'm in. It's not a label I've put on myself that can stop me doing anything. It means that I just do things differently.
Yes, exactly. Doesn't stop me. Just do it my way. And, I have noticed, though, sometimes I very much self-sabotage when it comes to connecting. Like, I know one of the things that I decided this year, I was going to have a goal that I was going to do 100 podcasts before the end of the year. And I thought, that'll be okay. And it was very interesting when I started down that path, how I completely self-sabotaged. In fact, I self-sabotaged so much in the first few months that I even managed to have my internet completely stop working. So it's like there was part of me that really wanted to get out there, but there was a part of me that was like, I don't know. I haven't done podcasts for such a long time. And so energetically, I made it all just sort of stop. So, but, once I got in the flow, like I said, I'm just loving it so much. I love doing podcasts. I love connecting with people in this way.
And for anyone that does mindset or, energetic or manifestation work, I think that's a big thing, is that until you do it, you can't necessarily imagine it. So it can be difficult for us to get in the right vibration or the right energy. But once you take the leap, and once it's started and you're enjoying it, that's certainly what I've found. I've like magnetized amazing guests now, like yourself, and I've only been going for a few months, because I know that once I'm in it, the energy's there and it's really building momentum.
Yeah, and it's true. You're more afraid of something that you haven't done, you don't know, and you're not sure of. And the only way to get comfortable with that and get good at it is just start. It was like when everyone was saying, you've got to do Facebook Lives, and the idea of doing a Facebook Live freaked me out completely. But I thought, look, at some point I'm going to have to do it. So I'm going to set myself a goal. And the goal was I'm going to do a Facebook Live every day for 30 days. And so I started, and it was last year sometime, I just started at the start of the month. I did 30 days of live, and that's it. And I haven't done any since. But I just made myself do it every day so that I knew I could do it. And if I wanted to do it in the future, I would do it. But, it's not something I want to do all the time.
I had a similar conversation. I had a guest on, I think she was episode 3, Laura O'Hagan. She's also Australian. She's a business coach. And she was the same. She didn't want to go live. And then she joined an online challenge. And the prize apparently at the end of the week was incredible. And she really wanted the prize. And you had to go live during that week. So she was like psyching herself up. And then she's like, I've got to do this because I want this prize. So she did it. And then now she said she goes live every week. She has done for 18 months. She doesn't even think about it. Like, she can't actually believe, looking back, that it was a thing. But the building it up and the fear about it was actually worse than doing it. Now she doesn't bat an eyelid. It's just, I'm going live.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start again. I think I'm going to do it. And I think my thing is I'm either all or nothing. So like me, I was either every day, every single day, or I don't do it at all. Whereas doing it once a week is actually quite doable. I mean, I need to find that nice middle balance.
And I love this because this is what I always say to people is like mindset work is not a destination, it's a journey, and it doesn't matter how long we've been doing it. It doesn't matter what level we're at. It doesn't matter if it's people like you and I that are helping other people with their mindset. We've always got our own mindset. We're constantly working through it like that. Like, can I do this? Can I show up? I'm all or nothing. When can I do? I can do once a week. Okay, I'll commit to that. That's all mindset work is.
Yeah. Mindset is honestly constant forever for the rest of your life. Every time you want to go to a new level, you're going to bump up against something. You're going to have some sort of block. You might try and self-sabotage. And it's just being conscious and being aware of that and understanding that, I always teach my students that it's really about balancing and harmonizing body, mind, and spirit. And when you do that, you'll find you're easily able to kind of move toward what it is you want and magnetize what you want toward you as well. You've got to balance that body, mind, and spirit. It's all about how you think, how you feel, and the actions you take. And when you combine them and they're all, moving toward the same way or the same goal, you find you can manifest it and achieve it so much easier and so much quicker.
And that's such a powerful trifecta. And I think where people go wrong because some people just do all the strategy and they don't have the others, or some people are like, I'm going to think about it all, but don't take any action or don't get into the right feeling and vibration. So I think having that, I picture that when you say it's like a little triangle and like you've got to have all the points of the triangle in to create that success.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
So Sandy, for any listeners that are thinking, I want to start or grow my online business now, I want to be like Sandy, what book would you recommend for them at the start of their journey?
Okay, so I was thinking about this, and obviously the book that I'm going to recommend, I'm going to have to recommend two. Because the first book I'm going to recommend is my own, How to Be Wealthy, Fast, because that's the mindset. It doesn't matter what you decide to do, what business you decide to start, what path you decide to take, unless you get your mindset in the right place, you are not going to have the same success. It's going to be much harder struggle. It's going to take longer. It's going to just be sort of an uphill battle. So How to Be Wealthy, Fast really gets your head in the right space and really allows you to think in a way that opens you up to possibility, opens you up to creating more, manifesting more, and having more money. So that's the first thing I'd recommend. And then when it came to actually, I was kind of thinking, well, what's a good business book? And honestly, I think the best business book that really helped me was a book by Mark Victor Hansen. And it was a book that actually was two books in one. And I honestly cannot remember the name of it. I know it had a butterfly on the cover, but it was by Mark Victor Hansen and Robert Allen. And it was a book that took you through the practical on I don't know if it was the left-hand pages or the right-hand pages, and then sort of the mindset on the other pages. And it was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I think it had the word millionaire in it.
I'm just looking it up. I'm Googling as you speak to see if we can
do it. Mark Victor Hansen, and it was it was purple and yellow. I know that.
Cracking the Millionaire Code?
Yes. Cracking the Millionaire Code.
Got it. Yeah. Mark Victor Hansen and Robert Allen.
Yes. And you know why I recommend that? It's probably because I used to look at him, and because I used to fly to his events in the US a couple of times a year, and I was just mind blown because here's this man on stage whose thinking was kind of all over the place. He seemed really scattered. He'd get sidetracked. He would just go over and I'd look at him and think, oh my gosh, I'm like him. Like, I'm not structured and organized and planning, and I am like crazy like him. And I think, if he can do it, I can do it. And so he really inspired me. And so that's why I absolutely love his book, because it's a combination. I always say when you take the practical and the mindset and join it together, magic can happen. So it's not just about the thinking and it's not just about the doing, but when you combine the two, all sorts of opportunities and possibilities open up for you.
And my entire brand is built around exactly that, looking at people and going, if they can do that, then I can do that. You've seen someone that's at that level of success, but going, but that's me. I act like that, or think like that, or dress like that, or feel like that. I can do this too.
Yeah, beautiful. I agree.
I love that. Sandy, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to pop all of your details in the show notes, the link to your website, your social media. People are going to want to see these Facebook Lives now that we've discussed that.
Pressure!
But for anyone that can't read it right now, where's the one best place that they can remember to find you online?
Best place would be go to wildlywealthy.com.
Wildlywealthy.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sandy.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you so much for everything you do, and letting other people see that anything is possible, and bringing people like myself in front of them so that they can get out there and create their own success. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ambitious Introvert Podcast with me, Emma-Louise Parks. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. As a thank you, one lucky reviewer each month will win a 60-minute one-on-one coaching session with me, where you'll get the clarity and confidence to attract your ideal clients. And if you know someone who could benefit from listening to the show, then please do share and help me reach as many fellow ambitious introverts as possible.